How's it going, everybody? It's Sandwhichpants here. I had to take a few days off. Different reasons each time. Uh, kind of a thing. But I am here. I am back, and I have shit to cover. Oh fuck, do we have stuff to cover. So, I suppose I should go ahead and kind of lay out the path here. We've got Biden reopens path for green cards, reversing Trump's COVID freeze. Okay. Venezuela qualifies EU sanctions as unacceptable. Yeah. Oklahoma City officer charged after deadly shooting. Seems fine. As well as some other local news, such as an audit of the sheriff's office and a Oklahoma Senate bill that may make petitioning and stuff harder. So let's go ahead and get started with Biden reopening the path. Let's see what this is.
President Biden has revoked a series of executive orders and memos issued by President Donald Trump. One of them reverses a measure aimed at rolling back the impact of the Dodd-Frank financial regulations. Another ends a ban on the issuance of new green cards, which drastically cut legal immigration to the U.S.
Oh yeah, that's simple. I think this actually has more. Okay. President Biden has revoked a series of executive orders and memos issued by Trump affecting policies on financial regulation, immigration, funding for so-called anarchist cities, and architecture. I'd have to look into all of these individually to know a little bit more. I've been like I said, I've been busy. I haven't been able to do everything. The actions were Biden's latest to erase Trump's legacy and reset the nation's course without any involvement by Congress. In Biden's first week in office alone, he issued 39 executive actions, many of which overturned Trump orders, which, yeah, that's fine. The more a previous president will have used executive action, the more the next president will use executive action to overturn the stuff. The orders revoked by Biden include a 2017 measure signed by Trump directing the government to streamline regulations affecting the financial services industry, part of an effort to roll back the impact of the Dodd-Frank Act. So strengthening Dodd-Frank, which isn't Glass-Steagall, but Biden's also targeted some of the most controversial executive actions Trump took during his final months in office. So, yeah, that's what this is all about. Which, this is okay. I think this is fine. Reopening paths for green cards? Great. Actually phenomenal. Unironically. Now, what's going on here? Because any sanctions against Venezuela at this point, they're not really justified. Lift the sanctions.
The Foreign Minister Jorge Arreaza personally.
I do just want to say, okay, because people get really mad about like Maduro having food and stuff while there's people starving. That is literally no different than any other government currently on the planet. What they would do, because the thought process of, oh, we're the leaders of the country, we need to stay healthy. We need to make sure that we are operational so that we can try and hold this ship on course. And so, people criticizing Maduro for that shit, just shut up. Just shut up. Because that's exactly what you would do. I don't...
deliver the letter notifying her departure from the country after a meeting at the foreign ministry in Caracas. In the document, Arreaza indicated that the decision was taken because of the circumstances required so, referring to the fact that 55 European Union sanctions against Venezuela remained in place. The senior diplomat further noted that Caracas's response follows up that on last Monday, the European Council added 19 Venezuelan officials to the list of people subject to restrictive measures for alleged actions that undermine democracy.
Precisely today, by decision of President Maduro, we have delivered to Isabel Brillante, who in the last few years has been the head of the European Union delegation in Venezuela, the declaration describing her as a persona non grata, according to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. She has been given 72 hours to leave Venezuelan territory. And we do this because the circumstances so required. We do it because there are already 55 decisions, what they call at the European Union the American system of sanctions, as if they had some moral authority, which they do not have, or any legal authority to impose any punishment on citizens of another country.
Likewise, the Venezuelan foreign minister described the so-called European Union sanctions as unacceptable and noted they were imposed despite the dialogue process launched by President Nicolás Maduro.
It is truly unacceptable. It was a generous gesture from President Maduro that the heads of mission and missions of the European Union remained in Venezuela, when in February 2019 they did not recognize him when they were accredited. President Maduro called for dialogue. Maduro told his foreign minister, his vice president, the government delegation to dialogue with the European Union. He said that with Europe we should always seek points of convergence, ways for them to listen to us, to know our version and the truth, so that we can build paths to dialogue together.
That's a very quick cut. There's really no reason to have sanctions on Venezuela. It's just hurting people. That's all it does. So, I'm... I truly dislike the kind of economic warfare and physical warfare that the U.S. engages in, or at least why they do it. So, I don't... Okay. Anyways, what needs to happen is just remove those damn sanctions. They don't need to be there. Listen to the Venezuelan people. When there's sanctions and embargoes and, military battleships off the coast, making it hard for you to get supplies, making it hard for you to keep your citizens safe, which can cause problems in the agriculture, so you don't get food, and food is also imported, and so you can't get your importation, you are at a bare minimum of food, so you starve people. So when there's these sanctions and shit, it just hurts the regular people. And then you turn around and go, oh, look at this. They're fucking starving because their leaders are inept. No, their leaders are doing the best they can under the circumstances, you stupid motherfuckers. You malicious pieces of shit. More specifically, like, Washington and a lot of media. So, just remove the sanctions. Let Venezuela breathe. Remove the embargo from Cuba. Let Cuba breathe. And even then, Cuba's doing fucking great. I mean, better than people think they are. They're really happy, from what I've seen. But if you talk to people who live in Florida who fled Cuba, of course they're not going to be happy. See, there's this thing that it's I'm not going to say it because it might be a racial slur, but there's a term used for the people who fled Cuba. And the reason they fled, mostly, is because they owned the property and people. Like wage slaves. They had the property and a whole lot of control over people's lives, and they weren't willing to give it up. So, well, they ended up fleeing, which is fine. They could have just cooperated and had a good life there. But no, they left. And Cuba actually has two different currencies. They have a native currency and currency they use for other things. So that's cool. Venezuela could be in a better spot if we just eased up on them. Here's the big one, everybody. Let's get to the main one. Local story. My main story for the night: audit. Equipment valued at $6.9 million missing from Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. A recent audit revealed $6.9 million worth of equipment is missing at the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. The results of the audit aren't the greatest. They're not good, Oklahoma County Sheriff Tommy Johnson said. The audit, which was requested by recently elected Sheriff Tommy Johnson, revealed $6.9 million. Okay, that's these lines are pretty much all the same. If we bought it 30 years, we bought it 4 years ago. That's how much we show it on our book. Show it on the books. For example, some of the missing items include handheld radios, bulletproof vests, and K9 cages for deputy vehicles. Of the 4,559 items on the inventory, 988 items totaling $2,150,089 could not be located. 1,091 items totaling $4,845,141 have not been properly disposed, and 3 items totaling $3,758 were reported stolen. Factoring in depreciation, the missing items totals value totals $1.4 million. How do we fix the problem? We'll be working with the county to purge older items, some of them decades old, like obsolete software from the early 90s, and get these off the inventory list. Johnson said he also plans to conduct annual audits to make sure they're staying on track. As of right now, only one person is assigned to keeping inventory, and that is also changing. We are going to have multiple eyes on it at division levels. An audit was also done in 2017 when Sheriff John Wetzel retired. There were 320 items on this recent audit, totaling $39,000, which is the depreciated value, overlap in both audits. A lot of the issues where things were written down, things can be lost when they're written on paper. That's why Johnson believes it's time to change how the office keeps track of things. Just because something worked in the past doesn't mean we can continue utilizing that process. We have to modernize what we're doing. Okay. So, misleading headline. Alright, great. Not as bad, but yeah, stolen items and shit like that. That's not good. Like, that's taxpayer shit. Let's see, there's a difference, sadly, between stealing things from the police office, the office that you work at, and being a cop and stealing from the place that you work at. Because if you're just a regular person working like an office job and you steal some office supplies, well, if you're stealing from somebody who privately owns that shit, that's a different matter. That person's exploiting you. Really, you're just recomping some of your losses. But still technically, illegal and yeah, not the right way to go about it. But if you work for the state and you steal from your job, you're stealing from everyone. You're stealing from the collective. That's not cool. You can't be stealing from the collective. Not like that. Come on. Come on. Now, there's only $3,758 worth of stuff stolen. $4.8 million of it was stuff that wasn't properly disposed. And 2,150,000 couldn't be located. So this one, bad. This one, bad. But not as bad as this makes it look. Let's be clear there. So how do we address this kind of problem? This one, if it's $3,000 worth of stuff out of $6.9 million worth of stuff that was stolen, not that big of an issue, to be completely honest. The big one is them making sure they're keeping track of all the stuff that is there that they use, doing inventory and upkeep on that. So that's a big deal. That needs to be done. And it appears that Sheriff Johnson is going to be doing that. Annual audits and stuff. Yeah, that seems fine. Maybe whip these motherfuckers into shape. I don't like the state, but while we've got laws and a state, we need the best kind of police force we could possibly have. Most empathetic, the most compassionate, the one that doesn't that resorts to violence last. Let's go with this before we go to the Oklahoma City. Police officer is facing charges following a deadly shooting in December. On December 11th, 2020, Oklahoma City police officers were called to a disturbance outside a store in the 2100 block of West Hafner Road. When they arrived at the scene, they were met by 60-year-old Benny Edwards, who was carrying a knife. Court records reveal more information on Benny Edwards. Mental health expert explains how schizophrenia can affect people in crisis. The subject actually came toward the officer, and the officer backed away, called for backup, and actually called for less lethal support, said Captain Dan Stewart. Police said after taking pepper spray and a taser, he didn't drop the knife. Two of the three officers at the scene then opened fire, killing Edwards. We would like the situation to resolve with no force. We'd like for him to drop the knife and for us to take him into custody. Unfortunately, it just didn't end that way. Edwards was pronounced dead at the scene. David Prater announced Thursday he was filing a charge of first-degree manslaughter against Sergeant Clifford Holman. However, no charges were being filed against Major Sergeant Keith Durrett. Is that right? I don't know. For his involvement. There are always many things to consider when determining whether an officer's use of deadly force is lawfully justified or not. Any loss of human life is tragic, and I take these decisions very seriously, David Prater said in a statement. The OKC, of course, they stand by Sergeant Holman, who followed his training. When an armed suspect charged another officer, a loss of life must always be able to. There's other shit you can do, you pieces of shit. You take in white boys who go on mass murder all the time, okay? Now, I don't know, Benny Edwards was white, but... I just want to see who the guy is. I don't care about any of this. Nope. Jeez. I think this is supposed to be like. He looks familiar. That's sad. That's something that shouldn't have happened. For those of you who know older people who might need a ride, they can't drive anymore, people are too busy. Embark is offering seniors free rides to Oklahoma County COVID-19 vaccine appointments. This has a video. Is this state Senate Bill 806, huh? Okay. And then we've got this. Walmart's hosting COVID-19 vaccine events. That's good. 2 bodies found in burning Oklahoma home. That's sad. Okay, Biden approves major disaster declaration for Oklahoma. Okay, so we got a few things to go over here in Oklahoma. Alright, y'all. What do we know? No, no views. Oh. Oh my god. Raindrop like a motherfucker. What is happening? Hit that. Boom. What's going on here? Minor issues. I'd say almost a third of my frames being dropped. Pretty bad. Okay. Dropping fucking frames. Probably from all these videos. Alright, let's close that. We got news to go over. Outside of that, I don't know. Probably maybe some gaming. Go ahead and see what this is. A bill that works to strengthen penalties for those who commit crimes during protests is headed to the Oklahoma Senate. Senator Darrell Weaver wrote Senate Bill 806, which creates the Oklahoma Citizens Protection Act. The measure strengthens penalties for crimes, details penalties for those who refuse orders to disperse. Fuck you. And for those who block or obstruct traffic on public highways or streets. Fuck you. Peaceful protest is a right under our Constitution, but this bill is about violent riots that put life and property at risk. No. Penalties for those who refuse orders to disperse? That's not a problem. Fuck you. Block or obstruct traffic on public highways and streets? Fuck you. That doesn't harm people. It just gets people angry, and then they think, why would you block a fucking highway? Right. Nothing is violent about refusing orders to disperse from the fucking police. Fuck the police. We're protesting them. That's what's being done. Why would you listen to the people you're you don't have to listen to them if you're protesting them. That's the point of the fucking protest. So really, this is just trying to crack down on protesting police. This, enact harsher penalties for rioters, that's a fucking lie. A downright lie. Suggest a fucking correction, that's right. Okay, Weaver says those found guilty would be required to pay for the damages. Well, fuck you. My bill would make community service and restitution mandatory instead of optional. I believe this legislation is a common sense approach aimed at... Yeah, anyone who uses common sense to make fucking legislation is an idiot. Like, nah. Fuck that. Okay, so, this needs to be protested, everybody. It really does. We need to get this fucking bill out of our Senate and just remove it. And remove Weaver. Daryl Weaver is a fucking shithead. Who are you? No. I want to know who you are. Senator Daryl Weaver. Yep. Yep. I'm gonna be emailing him later. This one is what I was on. It was approved by the Senate Appropriations Committee. Of course it was. This state is so fucking red it'll pass. I hate this. I hate it. Awful fucking state. I don't. I don't know. I don't know what to do about this. Anyways. I guess we protest it. Try and take it to the Supreme Court. Sue the Senate. We just sued the whole state. Fuck it. Oklahoma senator files bill to stop unfair charges on those incarcerated. Hell yeah. An Oklahoma state senator says that some Oklahomans are being unnecessarily punished while incarcerated or detained by law enforcement. Senator Kerry Hicks wrote Senate Bill 44 to keep individuals from being unnecessarily punished for not appearing in court when they are incarcerated or detained by law enforcement. When someone is in jail or police custody and aren't allowed to appear in court, that individual shouldn't be punished with a warrant or additional charges. This is a necessary change to drop fines for a situation the individual has no control over. The measure requires any charges or warrants issued for failure to appear in court to be dismissed upon the defendant showing the court that he or she was incarcerated or detained by law enforcement. The bill was approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee. It moves to the... Okay. Yeah, that's actually a decent move forward. Not much, but hey. Let me guess. Because Daryl Weaver? Republican. Democrat. And people say there's no difference between Democrats and Republicans. Oh, there's no difference between good things and bad things, guys. No difference. Not a single bit. Nope. No difference. Man, they're the exact same. They're the same. No. Me. Mm. Mm. Real nasally on my end. This mic fixes a lot of vocal things that I actually try to do. But if I put it right here, it sounds really bad. I don't think that's good. Yeah, I really like it being like over here. because it just picks up the actual voice. My voice. My voice. So, yes, there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans, especially at a local level. Like nationally, yeah, of course we don't get shit done in the Democratic Party. There's different things that go on there, like big business interests, because they don't focus on states nearly as much as they focus on the federal government. So there is wiggle room for state elected officials to wind their way through the halls of their local Congress and get more shit done. This is still, I'm not saying that this is good. Like, it's not good. Well, okay, I should say it's not great, but it's good. It's a step forward. And it's fucking more than the Democrats have done this session, really. Granted, that this session has not been around for that long, but we've gotten more. There's more stuff being filed that's effective right now for. Well, also there's just more stuff being filed and funneled through, because this one and the last one that I have to bitch this guy out for, they're different. This is actually a step forward. But the point I'm trying to get across here is we need to get more Democrats into local offices. We need to not focus. I mean, we need to still focus on them, but we don't need to put as much energy as we have into trying to get a Democrat into federal office. This is the most red fucking state. You have to radicalize your community first, okay? If you really want to get a progressive elected into Congress in this state, we need to get a progressive elected to the state Congress. That way that progressive can get shit in. That way when that people see that progressive doing what they are doing and going, hey, that person's really helping me. I wonder why. Then you can get that message across. Way better. Way better. At that point, we're good. So anyways, the big point here is we need to get shit done locally. Now, there's plenty of people doing things in this state, but it's all on the ground. I haven't really seen a good solidified focus on getting a progressive into our state body. We need that. Like, that's a deal. Come on. We need to focus. Let's get local. Tribal leaders propose legislation to help citizens with substance abuse, fitness. Tahlequah. Tribal leaders with the Cherokee Nation have proposed new legislation that would help tribal citizens battling substance abuse issues. Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. and Deputy Chief Brian Warner are proposing new legislation that would provide Cherokee citizens with access to substance abuse treatment centers, wellness centers, and fitness centers by setting aside a portion of revenues collected by Cherokee National Health Services each year. Cherokee Nation Health Services. National Health Service. I'm so used to reading that. If approved, the legislation would earmark 7% of the unrestricted revenue generated by the Cherokee Nation Health Services, did it again, including health insurance claims or billings to health insurance carriers and providers. It is estimated this will provide an annual investment of between $9 million and $12 million in funding for public health programs for Cherokee Nation citizens. Like many of our Native brothers and sisters throughout the United States, the Cherokee people have endured generational traumas that, unfortunately, weigh heavy on our families and our communities to this day, Chief Hoskin said. Providing a consistent funding source specifically set aside for substance abuse treatment and wellness centers for our citizens will be a significant moment in the history of our tribe. This legislation will be both life-altering and life-saving for many Cherokees and their friends, families, and communities, giving us the ability to not only focus on treatment, but also on prevention. I encourage the Council of the Cherokee Nation to support the Cherokee Nation Public Health and Wellness Fund Act and to pass this legislation. The Cherokee Nation Public Health and Wellness Fund Act let me finish here. The Cherokee Nation Public Health and Wellness Fund Act will first be considered by the Council of the Cherokee Nation's Rules Committee on February 25th. If passed through committee, the legislation will then appear for a vote during the March regular monthly council meeting. Our public health and behavioral health teams do a phenomenal job of caring for Cherokee citizens, and they're consistently on the cutting edge of innovative treatment and prevention, Deputy Chief Warner said. Our approach to public health is a model for other tribes around the country, and I believe this new legislation will provide our public health and behavioral health teams with the additional infrastructure they need to take their efforts to new and unprecedented levels. The timing of this legislation is significant. Improving access to public health programs will be imperative as we start to emerge from the other side of the COVID-19 pandemic. For many of our fellow Cherokees, the impact of this virus on their physical and mental well-being will not simply go away when we finally tame the COVID-19 virus. Setting aside new funding will put more muscle behind the assistance we can offer Cherokees in the months and years to come. Alright, this is fucking phenomenal. This is literally what progressives want. This is what socialists want. This is what the communists want. In some ways, this is what a lot of anarchists want. Because it's a national health. Hey, they've got a Cherokee Nation, their own form of a national health care service. Almost all the tribes do, I think. I think all the tribes do. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't know. I do know that I would be on the tribal rolls if my family would have gone and done that, but they don't want to, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be the one who goes out there and does it. Not my place. Not my place. But this is literally something we could fucking copy on literally a national level, and it would be fine. Their entire thing, phenomenal. Like, they do have good healthcare. Like, part of the thing that I've learned about why our healthcare is ranked as high as it is A, because really rich people can pay for literally the best healthcare in the world, and B, the tribes have great healthcare. That kind of adds into it as well. If we didn't have the tribes, our healthcare would probably be like 47th instead of 37th. So, like, the tribes really do boost our healthcare status. So we need to learn and potentially mimic. There may need to be some small-scale changes that do a little bit different thing here and there. But this is something we could do as a country. Easy. Fucking easy. It would save us money in the long run. But this is easy. Fucking donezo. Easy clap. We're in. GG's. The fact we don't do this is an insult to every single human that lives in, comes to, or passes through this fucking country. It is an insult. $40. Okay, so I've been sitting here for a while, setting up. I normally stay a little bit longer before I take a break, because I will be back. And I'm going to go ahead and save this for last. So let's close that, and we'll just leave this open here. Gonna minimize that. But I do have some juicy tunes for you. And I don't know why I am dropping frames all over the place. Doesn't normally happen. It's probably an internet thing. My internet freaks out. But I will be back, so enjoy. Alrighty, we are back. How's it going, everybody? Checking in. So, I'm gonna go ahead and here we go. We got the main piece. I covered the story about an Oklahoma police officer actually getting charged for a murder, manslaughter charge. Covered a bill that would penalize aspects of peaceful protest, like they say it's for rioting, but things like not dispersing when ordered to by police and blocking streets and highways being heavily penalized. Nah, that's just criminalizing protest, motherfuckers. Not good. Now this will make it harder to petition, apparently. So, Senate Bill 947. Racino and Bullard of the Senate, and West, Tammy, of the House. An act relating to the initiative and referendum amending 34 OS 2011, Section 9 as last amended by Section 1, Chapter 281 OS, blah 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 bullshit. Be it enacted by the people of the state of Oklahoma, Section 1, amendatory, 34 OS 2011, Section 9, as last amended by Section 1, all this up here, is amended to read as follows. Section 9A. When a referendum is ordered by petition of the people against any measure passed by the legislature, or when any measure is proposed by initiative petition, whether as an amendment to the Constitution or as a statute, it shall be the duty of the parties submitting the measure to prepare and file one copy of the measure with the Secretary of State and one copy with the Attorney General. B. Okay, this one actually fine. I think that's okay. File a copy with the Secretary of State, file one with the Attorney General, keep a copy for yourself. That's fine. B. The parties submitting the measure shall also submit a suggested ballot title with the Secretary of State, which shall be filed on a separate sheet of paper and shall not be part of or printed on the petition. The suggested ballot title, 1, shall not exceed 200 words, or 300 words if the proposed measure will have a fiscal impact on the state. 2, shall explain in basic words, which can be easily found in dictionaries of general usage, the effect of the proposition. 3, shall not contain any words which have a special meaning for a particular profession or trade not commonly known to the citizens of the state. 4, shall not reflect partiality in its composition or contain any argument for or against the measure. So you can't even argue why it would be good. You just have to propose the measure. That's an issue. Shall not contain language which clearly states that a yes vote is a vote in favor of the proposition and a no vote is a vote against the proposition. So making language more fucking vague. Great. Not what we need. Shall not contain language whereby a yes vote is in fact a vote against the proposition or no. Okay, so either way. So stay vague. And 7, shall indicate if a proposed measure will have a fiscal impact on the state, and if so, the potential source of funding, including but not limited to federal funding or legislative appropriation, which may require imposition of a new tax, increase of an existing tax, or elimination of an existing service. C, when a measure... Okay. That may not be the worst. It does make it harder for people to do the work that they want to do, but it's possible to do. It's just a little more tedious. When a measure is proposed as a constitutional amendment by the legislature, or when the legislature proposes a statute conditioned upon approval by the people, 1, after final passage of a measure, the Secretary of State shall submit a proposed ballot title to the Attorney General for review as to legal correctness. Within 5 business days after the receipt from the Secretary of State, the Attorney General shall, in writing, notify the Secretary of State, the President pro tempore of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the principal authors of the bill whether or not the proposed ballot title complies with applicable law. The Attorney General shall state with specificity and any and all defects found and, if necessary, within 10 business days of determining that the proposed ballot title is defective, prepare a preliminary ballot title which complies with the law and furnish a copy of such ballot title to the Secretary of State, the President pro tempore of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the principal authors of the bill. The Attorney General may consider any comments made by the President pro tempore of the Senate or Speaker of the House of Representatives submitted within 5 business days of their being furnished a copy of the preliminary ballot title. The Attorney General shall respond in writing to the comments and shall file a final ballot title with the Secretary of State no later than 15 business days after furnishing the preliminary ballot title, and 2. After receipt of the measure and the official ballot title as certified by the Attorney General, the Secretary of State shall within 5 business days transmit to the Secretary of State Election Board and an attested copy of the measure, including the official ballot title. Okay, so this is a whole lot of runaround shit. Oh my god. It's a whole bunch of useless running around, having to go back and forth to slow shit down even more. The following procedure shall apply to ballot titles and referendums ordered by a petition of the people, or any measure proposed by an initiative petition. 1. After the filing of the signed referendum petitions or the signed initiative petitions, the Secretary of State shall submit the proposed separate ballot titles to the Attorney General for review as to legal correctness. Okay, so this is just restating shit to make it harder to read all this. Within 5 business days after the receipt of the ballot title, the Attorney General shall, in writing, notify the Secretary of State whether or not the proposed ballot title complies with applicable laws. Okay, so yeah, this is literally just what was up there. Yeah, it's not very long, but they sure do repeat themselves quite a bit. This bill is crap. It is awful. There is no reason. None. Whatsoever. None at all. So we need to get rid of this as well. And just be like, nah, fuck you. It just makes it harder to petition. It makes it more... I mean, there's a couple of good things in here that might need to be done, but overall, this is just a way to make it harder to petition and get things passed through popular initiatives. And that is, of course, the goal of the Republican Party. That's all they ever want to do. Make it harder for people to get things. That's it. Their goal is to harm you. Yeah. This is unacceptable kinds of things, you know? Why in the hell did they just make it hard as possible to do anything? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if people recognize that they can go and do direct action on the ground, they can do things to sway the public, to sway the legislature, to get things accomplished for their ends, not for what the fucking rich people up at the top actually want done. Well, guess what? If they recognize this, then it makes it harder for them to just keep us complacent. We might ask for, increased minimum wage, a Medicare for all universal healthcare system, a Green New Deal, infrastructure. We might actually be trying to rebuild the country so it actually is good. And they just can't have that. Now, why is that? Why can't our government, local and national, why can't they just allow us to have the good things to make our country better? Well, because there's kind of a a group of people who sit at the top of the economic ladder who benefit greatly from us not being able to go to college, from us not having health care that is covered by the government, that benefits greatly from us not having green energy and a good infrastructure. They benefit from this. Now, I think it's stupid because they would benefit more if we had good infrastructure and a healthcare, a national healthcare system. Well, in some cases, but they wouldn't be able to keep our wages as low, and that's why they don't want to do it. So there's a balance that they're trying to strike, and every single move in a direction, they have to try and restrike that balance because that's the economic system we live under, and they want to keep their stupid dragon's horde instead of letting people live good lives. Just as a quick thing, how much money is in the U.S.? We'll take the 1.5 trillion. Although, there's 150 million, 1.5 billion, 15, 150, 1.5. Divided by 1963500. That's not that much. You see. There's only $1.5 trillion or 1.5 trillion of physical currency in circulation. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I want to see. So 123.8 trillion divided by 196, 350. Wait. Wait. Right? Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. There we go. That sounds about right. That's about how much money every single person could have in this country. Pretty rough estimate. I mean, there's more math that goes into it, but you don't have to be in poverty in this country. You don't. It's only because of the Jeff Bezoses, the Elon Musks, your local small business owner. It goes all the way down. Now, who's more culpable for these things is kind of an issue because your local small business owner is nowhere near as responsible for this disparity as Jeff Bezos, as Elon Musk, as Bill Gates, as Warren Buffett. Yes, even George Soros. Rich people contribute heavily to this kind of thing. What is this? Oh my god, how many? 16? Alright, I'm gonna skim this real quick. So, I'm not gonna read all of it out like I did the last one, or at least most of the last one. I'm gonna skim this, and I'll let you know what I think about it. Okay? Alright, so, while I skim, let's go ahead and play you guys some tasty tunes. Hoo 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 hoo. They should do both. Okay, so. And this is describing audits and stuff like that. Okay, that's the rest of this bill. Department of Corrections. Data auditor. Yep. Okay, so this is essentially demanding audits every year and giving the agency heads the choice to use the state auditor or a private, a public auditor. And I think doing both would probably be better. Yeah. The rest of this is kind of legal definitions and aspects that have to be followed with the audits, which is pretty standard stuff. You have to send it to the Secretary of State and the Attorney General and the President Pro Tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the state and blah 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 blah. So that's all fairly standard shit that I've seen through almost every piece of legislation that I've looked at. But yeah, they made it a stronger language in some of these areas. I had to strike out all those because it missed the thing. Okay. Once every 2 fiscal years, the books and accounts of all state agencies whose duty is to collect, disperse, or manage funds of the state. Yep, that's all fairly standard. Not a bad deal. It's actually not too bad. If it could be better. They could require that they do both and make the audits public as soon as completed. And it's also by Racino, just like $895, $947 is the one. Yeah, see, Racino and Bullard, and the other one was also Racino, who did it. Not upset about that one, actually. So, actually, let me go ahead and reopen the closed tab. Now this, we gotta fight this, because it does just put more barriers and more time frames in the way of petitions. Petitions are meant to be a quicker way to go forward with popular will. You put it up, it becomes if it's petitioned enough, it becomes a ballot measure or a state question. It can be proposed, and then people can vote on it, and then it goes through, and it gets enacted. And some of the stuff in here is just barriers. And that's all it is. So it's, in a way, unconstitutional. I mean, we have a freedom to protest and petition to redress our grievances to the government, to make changes. That is the deal. But Republicans just want to hold things up. They just want to stop any form of change, any moving forward. It's absolutely pathetic, really. The mind of a conservative is living in fear, disgust, what's the word? When you're not sure of yourself. Anticipation. No, that's not it. Essentially, yeah, they're not confident enough they feel like they've been rejected, like conservatives feel like they've been rejected by society. And they don't question why they've been rejected by society, or at least they don't reach the right conclusion. Their conclusion is, my views are so badass they can't handle it. When in all actuality, it's, your views came from the 1400s, get away from me, you weirdo. How do you have such a narrow and horrible view of the world? Personally, I don't hate conservatives. I feel bad for them. One of the best ways I've heard it described is, like, trans people and minority groups, other minority groups and stuff, they at least know who they are. They are sure of themselves. They know who well, they're not always, like, sure of themselves. They're not confident, but they know who they are. They know they know the issues and stuff that they're facing. They can correctly identify the problems. Conservatives just shadow box their entire way through life. They're just swinging on nothing constantly. It's pretty sad in my opinion. Like, I do feel bad for them. This has gotten... So, what we need to do is, I know it's hard, but we need to reach out and show compassion to conservatives. Yeah, you need to coddle them. Like little babies. Little bitty babies. You pick them up. You rhetorically, you pick them up and you cradle them. And you swoon to them. Poor little baby. It'll be okay. And you just show them that compassion. You completely show absolutely no mercy to the systems that we live under. You should, in my opinion, lightweight denigrate their thought leaders. If you make their thought leaders look weak, well, the conservative mind is submissive. If you look stronger than the people they look up to, if you come off more aggressive, if you're a man, if you're a woman, that doesn't work. But if you're a dude, and you come off more aggressive, you come off smarter, you make their idol look weak, pathetic, and stupid, they'll start to look to you. Because you were the stronger personality. Now, this doesn't work with, like, every conservative, but it seems to be a trend. Like, it seems to work quite well. So you can take Ben Shapiro, for example. Now, he's become less of a conservative thought leader. He still has a lot of views, but a lot of that is people just making fun of him at this point. So it's not as effective. Although I still do it because I don't like Ben Shapiro. But you need to reach the people that actually, like, get to them at this point. You have to destroy the Stick, Sex, and Hammers. You have to destroy the Black Pigeon Speaks. Although he's also declining. Stefan Molyneux is declining. You have to take out, rhetorically, the Mike Enochs, the Eric Strikers, James Allsup's banned from YouTube, but he's still probably on, like, Gab and shit. And the Gavin McGinnises. You have to just denigrate them. You have to make them look awful, pathetic, weak, cowardly, stupid. Because if you can do that, and you can do it effectively, speaking as a dude, they'll look up to you more. And if you can also show them, individually, some sort of compassion, you can explain to them the things that they have misconceptions on, that they're worried about, and you can explain to them how it's not a problem, or how you're working to address that kind of thing as well, depending on the issue. That moves them even more, because they go, wait, this lefty is actually reaching out to me, a conservative, in some cases, a Nazi. And he's going, we can make things better. You just gotta drop the dumb shit you believe. There's a better way. There's other explanations that aren't so batshit crazy. Like absolutely off the wall. You know. There's other explanations. Better ones. Ones that make more sense. And there's a better way. Let's just move appropriately. Oh good, I haven't dropped more. Anyways, that's the baseline things that I've got for this. Let's see, we went over the, okay, so, quick recap on things we've gone over. Biden opening back up a pathway to green cards for people. The officer going on to who's getting charged with first-degree manslaughter here in Oklahoma for shooting a person under a mental health crisis. A bill that makes it harder to pass petitions, you know, to do petitioning and shit. A bill that more heavily criminalizes protest in some aspects peacefully. And more sanction, or renewing the EU sanctions on Venezuela, which needs to not happen. There was a couple of other things in there, I'm pretty sure. Embark giving free rides to in Oklahoma County to seniors who need to get to a place to get a COVID vaccine. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's mostly it. That's a lot of local news, a couple of news stories for the national front of things, national side, and then we've got, by the way, this is the person who we need to call to get the protesting bill shot down. This is the person who introduced it. We need to get them to retract it because it's really not good. I don't want to download his photo. That's so weird. Yeah, for anybody who wants to, there is actually a link to my Discord, my stream chat, in the description to the video, or the stream, I guess. And so, this could be available. We could potentially have a conversation about some stuff. If you're a lefty, we can talk about that. If you're a liberal, we can talk about why you should be a lefty. And if you are a conservative, we should talk about why you need to drop conservatism and come over to the left. And anyone who wants to say, oh, you just want everyone to think the same. The left is so infighty over small little things, and disagreements on strategy, and disagreements on which theorist was more important to the movement. Like, there is a diverse range of thought within the left movement. It's just not about hating. We don't hate people. We hate systems. We hate structures. But there's a difference. See what else. What else do we got? Yeah, Cuomo bad. Ooh. Breaking news.
On this vote, the yeas are 224 and the nays are 206. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Madam Speaker, I object to laying the motion to reconsider on the
For what purpose
table.
does the gentleman seek recognition?
I object to laying the motion to reconsider on the table.
Objection is heard. For what purpose does the gentleman from Michigan seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I have a motion at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Mr. Kildee of Michigan moves to reconsider the vote on the question of passage of H.R. 5.
For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition? The clerk will report the motion.
Motion to reconsider on the table.
The question is the motion on the table. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Call vote.
Pursuant to Section 3S of the House Resolution 8,
It's a roll call.
This is so bad. Republicans are just like, no, no, no. And Democrats are like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to obstruct this? Okay. Discrimination can occur on the basis of sex, sexual, single instance of discrimination may have more than one basis. Including restaurants, senior centers. Yep, this is protections for them when those face discrimination. Many established for term, many employers already and continue to take proactive steps beyond those required to bear to ensure their housing in many places public accommodations. Oh, it's long as fuck. They got federal funding, employment rules. But I'll give you a little bit of a heads up. I read this when it was originally introduced. It's good. It's not the best. The Dems never do the best. They always do they do the bare minimum to a moderate, middling ground, milquetoast, inadequate version of things. This, however, it's actually like, it's not based, but it's fairly based. It's almost based. Pretty good. It just extends like more protections to the LGBTQ community. And Republicans are just getting super ass mad about it.
Call vote.
pursuant to Section 3S of House Resolution 8, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device.
Ooh, what? Bernie Sanders. What's he doing? Not
We,
voting for Neera
call this
Tanden?
meeting to order, and let me thank Ranking Member Lindsey Graham and the other members of the committee for being with us in person or on video. I would also like to thank the many witnesses who will be testifying today, most of whom who will be joining us remotely because of this pandemic. I want to call this hearing to order in order to discuss a very simple, yet I believe profound question. And that question is this: why should the taxpayers of our country, many of whom are struggling economically as a result of the pandemic, be subsidizing the starvation wages being paid at some of the largest and most profitable corporations in America? That's the simple question. Why should working people be subsidizing some of the wealthiest families and largest corporations in America because of the starvation wages they pay their workers? And let me be very clear. The largest welfare recipient in America happens to be the wealthiest family in America, the Walton family, a family that owns the largest corporation in America, Walmart. This is a family that is worth over $200 billion. It is a family that has become $50 billion wealthier since March of 2020, during the worst public health crisis in over 100 years. This corporation that they own, Walmart, made over $15 billion in profit last year alone. And yet, despite this massive family wealth, despite these very high corporate profits, Walmart pays wages so low that tens of thousands of their employees are forced to rely on public assistance in order to survive. They are forced to rely on food stamps to feed their children, paid for by the U.S. taxpayer. They are forced to go into public housing to put a roof over their heads, paid for by U.S. taxpayers. And they are forced to go on Medicaid to get the health care they need, all of which is paid by U.S. taxpayers. While Costco, Amazon, Target, Best Buy, and other major corporations have all raised their minimum wage in recent years to at least $15 an hour. And in a few minutes, we're going to hear from the CEO of Costco. The minimum wage at Walmart has remained stuck at $11 an hour for the last 3 years. The result? 760,000 workers at Walmart. Walmart is the largest employer in America. 760,000 employees, about half of their U.S. workforce, are paid less than $15 an hour. Now, I don't know. Maybe if you are a billionaire family, you may not understand this, but the simple truth is that no one in America can live with dignity, can raise a family on $11 or $12 an hour. And I must say, on a personal level, that I have talked to too many employees in this country who, with tears in their eyes, tell me about the struggles that they are having trying to feed their kids, pay their rent on the starvation wages that they receive. Today, we're going to ask how Walmart can afford to pay its CEO, who declined my invitation to be with us today, over $22 million in compensation last year. $22 million in compensation, but somehow they cannot afford to pay their workers a living wage. We're going to ask how Walmart can afford to spend $8.3 billion on stock buybacks in 2017, but cannot afford to pay its workers at least $15 an hour. And if Walmart thinks that they're going to avoid answering that question because they didn't show up today, they are deeply mistaken. The American people are sick and tired of subsidizing the wealthiest family in America. But let us be clear, Walmart is not alone. Last year, Dollar General made over $10 billion in profits, had enough money to pay its CEO $12 million in compensation, while the average Dollar General cashier is forced to survive on just $8.38 an hour. In 2019, McDonald's made over $6 billion in profits and paid its CEO over $18 million in compensation, while the average worker at McDonald's makes as little as $9 an hour. Unfortunately, the CEO of McDonald's also declined to testify before us today. Further, a November 2020 Government Accountability Office report that I requested found that taxpayers are not only subsidizing the poverty wages at Walmart, McDonald's, and Dollar General, but Dollar Tree, Wendy's, Burger King, Uber, Subway, Dunkin' Donuts, Home Depot, Lowe's, CVS, and Walgreens. We will hear from the author of that GAO report later this morning. In America today, and one of the great scandals of our economy is that nearly half of all workers make less than $15 an hour, and they are forced to rely on public assistance programs costing taxpayers $107 billion each year. And today we're going to be discussing about what it means to work for a large corporation that makes billions of dollars in profit, but yet as a worker, you're not sure when you wake up in the morning if you're going to have enough food to feed your kids. During this hearing, we're going to hear from employees who work for McDonald's and Walmart, We're going to hear about half of American workers living paycheck to paycheck. We're going to hear about the fact that the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour has not been raised by Congress since 2007. Got that? Minimum wage not been raised by Congress since 2007, 14 years ago. And let us be clear, no ifs,
He's just ripping into him. I love it.
buts, and maybes. $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. That's what it is. We must raise the minimum wage to a living wage, at least $15 an hour. And when we do that, not only will we be lifting millions of Americans out of poverty, we will be providing a raise to 32 million American workers. And not only is raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour the right thing to do, it is also what the overwhelming majority of Americans want us to do. Poll after poll, over 60% of the American people have told us that they support increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Since 1998, every time a state has had an initiative on the ballot to raise the minimum wage, it has won, no matter whether that state was red, blue, or purple.
It's popular.
Today, 8 states and over 40 cities have adopted laws to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. This is not a radical idea. Now, I do understand that concern has been raised about the Raise the Wage Act, which I have sponsored, which gradually raises the minimum wage to $9.50 this year, $11 in 2022, $12.50 in 2023, $14 in 2024, and $15 an hour in 2025. That's a gradual increase. Some people believe that these increases will harm small businesses. I understand that. Now, I fully understand that there is a major difference between Walmart and a small, struggling business. Many small businesses, all of us understand, are struggling today in Vermont, South Carolina, all across this country, and they need our help. To date, Congress has already provided $800 billion in financial assistance to small businesses, and an additional $50 billion is included in the reconciliation bill working its way through the Senate. I am also sympathetic to providing small businesses with the tax relief that they need to offset some of the increased labor costs associated with the minimum wage increase, just as Congress has done virtually every time that it has increased the minimum wage. But let me say this. Study after study has shown that a gradual increase in the minimum wage does not lead to increased unemployment. In fact, a review of 138 minimum wage increases at the federal, state, and local level since 1984, published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics, found no evidence that these laws reduce employment. Zero. My own state of Vermont, for example, very rural state, largely dependent on small business, has the third lowest unemployment rate in the country at 3.1%, while it also has one of the highest minimum wages in the country at $11.75 an hour. In my view, the best way to help small business is to put cash into the pockets of low-wage workers who will then spend that money in grocery stores, restaurants, and small businesses all across this country. But I hope, no matter what our views on the minimum wage may be, I hope that we will all agree on one thing. U.S. taxpayers should not be forced to subsidize some of the largest and most profitable corporations in America. It is time for the owners of Walmart, McDonald's, Dollar General, and other large corporations to get off welfare and pay their workers a living.
Well, they just cut it off. You know, whatever. Need to pay their workers a living. Yeah, that still works. There's no thing that says that Bernie is 100% supporting near a tandem. If he does, I mean, it's a bad move. What is
being
this?
taken down. You kidding? We don't build buildings like that anymore. Like, you want malls? Like 150 years old? Oh, like 150 years old.
Yep, that's about right. Biden commemorates 50 millionth COVID vaccine shot. Okay, that's okay. Huh. What is this? The assassination of that, was it,
There is new evidence providing yet another.
Whoa. You're a little loud. Jamal Khashoggi, okay.
Another link between the Saudi crown prince and the brutal murder of Washington Post writer Jamal Khashoggi. And the U.S. intelligence community is expected to soon release a long-awaited report with new details about those responsible. CNN's Alex Marquardt has details.
Multiple sources are telling me that the report from the Director of National Intelligence is expected as early as Thursday. We've been waiting a long time for this unclassified report. It was actually passed into law in 2018, but the Trump administration chose to ignore that. It's declassified. It's going to be released by the Office of Director of National Intelligence, which is required to lay out what the intelligence community has found out about what Saudi officials knew and what they did. Now, after Khashoggi's murder in 2018, the CIA assessed with high confidence that the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, himself ordered the brutal killing. The prince denies it. And we are learning about yet another link between MBS, as he's known, and the murder of Jamal Khashoggi in Istanbul. We've obtained documents from a Canadian court case which revealed that the two private jets that carried the Saudi Arabian hit team were operated by a company that the Crown Prince had taken control of less than a year before the murder. He had ordered that this aviation company be transferred into the country's investment fund, which MBS controls. I did speak with a lawyer for Khashoggi's former fiancée, who calls the revelation of these documents extremely important. He says that it shows a direct line to MBS killing Jamal Khashoggi. We did ask Saudi officials for a response, and we did not get one. They are likely worried about that intelligence report that is coming and what it will say about the Crown Prince, whether this declassified intelligence report holds a smoking.
We absolutely know that he's done it. Like, nah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's it. Yep.
15 Saudi men as persons of interest.
We need the right here.
In the wake of Russia's poisoning of Sergei Skripal, the Russian suspects tried the same thing.
What were you doing there?
Our friends had been suggesting for a long time that we visit this wonderful town.
Here, well.
Just tourists, which is clearly bullshit, is an immediate red flag. Thanks so much for inviting me over for Thanksgiving, Craig. The turkey's delicious, the stuffing is perfect, that's a very large bone saw, and I just remembered I have to leave now. Now, Saudi officials have scrambled to explain all the suspicious activity surrounding his disappearance, with the Saudi-owned channel Al Arabiya claiming that the 15 people who turned up in Istanbul were just tourists, which is clearly bullshit, given that flight logs showed that most of the men arrived on a private charter plane at 3:13 a.m. and that all of them departed the same day they arrived, which is a pretty weird vacation, isn't it? I want to see Istanbul, but only for a few hours, mostly at night, and I need to bring my bone saw. Also, the whole "we were just tourists" excuse isn't even a new one. In the wake of Russia...
Yep. So, we've got that.
Gun proving that MBS ordered the killing is what everyone is looking out for. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden says he has read the unclassified report. He hasn't offered any details, just saying that he will be speaking with the Saudi King Salman soon, which is notable because he still hasn't done that after more than a month in office.
New today, CNN has learned the release of a long-anticipated report into the killing of Washington Post columnist and Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi has been delayed. The report from the Director of National Intelligence will wait now until President Biden speaks with the King of Saudi Arabia, King Salman. That is according to 3 officials who are familiar with the matter. Khashoggi was critical of the King's son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and his policies. And in October of 2018, here in this video, Khashoggi was seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. A Saudi hit team had arrived just a few hours ahead of him, and Khashoggi was killed minutes after entering that compound. The CIA later concluded that the Crown Prince personally ordered the journalist's murder. He denies this. But now new CNN reporting is shedding light on just how closely tied the Crown Prince was to the killing. Documents from a Canadian court case revealed that 2 private jets used by Saudi assassins were operated by a company that the Crown Prince had taken control of less than a year before the murder. I'm joined now by Agnes Calamar. She is the UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial summary or arbitrary executions. She was the lead investigator on the first independent report on the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Agnes, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You put out your report on the killing in June 2019. You laid out the detailed evidence that suggests Saudi officials at the highest level plan to carry out this murder and hide it from the international community. What are you looking for in this report coming from the U.S.? This delayed report, but, hopefully we'll have it soon.
I'm expecting clear evidence of the role played by Mohammed bin Salman in the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. I'm expecting evidence proving that he ordered the killing, that he was fully aware of what was happening, and that he gave it its full endorsement.
If you expect that to come out of the U.S. with Saudi Arabia being its ally, no. Here's the deal. It was a journalist from the Washington Post. There's a reason Trump didn't do anything. It was a Washington Post journalist. Why would he do anything? That's his opposition. He doesn't care about journalists. Biden is not that. So he may actually be cracking down on the whole thing. Hopefully. And we can stop supporting Saudi Arabia. Look at that smug face.
So you're expecting that he was fully aware, that we'll learn he was fully aware, that he endorsed it. Are you expecting that this report will say he directed it?
Yes, that's what I am expecting, indeed.
Mm-hmm. And so you called in your investigation, in your report, you called for a follow-up investigation to determine individual liability of high-ranking Saudis, including the Crown Prince, this very thing that we're talking about in this report. And you heard this new CNN report about these airplanes. The airplanes that the Saudi hit team traveled on have been, they're from this company that was seized by MBS less than a year before the murder. What conclusions can you draw from that?
Look, in my report, I had already pointed that there was much circumstantial evidence pointing to the responsibility of the Crown Prince, including in terms of ordering the crime. That included the fact that the killing of Jamal Khashoggi was clearly well resourced by the state. It was premeditated. It was well organized. The Crown Prince's right-hand man, Saud al-Qahtani, met the killing team before it left. We now have further evidence that the private jet that carried members of the team, some of whom traveled under diplomatic passport, by the way, one of the private jets had diplomatic clearance, indeed, that those were directly owned by the Crown Prince. So all of that point clearly to not only the fact that it was a state killing, but that it was a killing orchestrated and planned at the highest level of the state by the Crown Prince.
Yeah, of course it was. We already knew this. And it is a problem. We need to do something to address it. Oh, That's going to... I can't look at those on here, so enjoy this. Okay. It's a fun little... That's a fun little ditty. Everything I play on here, by the way, is my own material. So, yeah. Oh, man. It's all, like, off-the-cuff stuff.
In your report, you say that the international response really to all of this, condemnations, sanctions, that has been insufficient. Do you expect, I mean, have you seen that improve, and do you expect that is going to change with this U.S. report coming out?
Yes, I mean, justice for Jamal is not an outcome. It's going to be a journey, and we have been on that journey for more than 2 years, including CNN, including international media, because you guys have kept the issue on the spotlight. So justice continues. Tomorrow, hopefully, because it was not today, our journey for justice will mark a new benchmark, which is a very important element in identifying with much more evidence the individual liability, the individual responsibilities of the Crown Prince. It's part of it. The next step is, what do we do with this information once we have clear evidence that the Crown Prince was implicated? Clearly, the US is going to be put under a lot of pressure to take actions on the basis of that evidence, and it cannot just be business as usual. In my opinion, what it means is that now we have sufficient evidence to target the Crown Prince for individualized sanction. Targeting his asset abroad, that's a minimum that can be done in the spirit of the Magnitsky sanctions. Secondly, I believe that the Crown Prince has proven that he is not fit for the diplomatic circles, for the diplomatic arena, and that he should be banished for a number of those international meetings. That, to me, are really minimum steps that can be taken to punish the individuals. And in addition, I do hope that the US administration is going to seize on that opportunity, quotation mark, to say, now, let's put in place the international and the national instruments that are going to protect journalists the world over. Because you know, as well as I do, that there are dozens of journalists who every year are killed, who do not receive the same degree of attention as Jamal. We now have the opportunity to push for far more effective instruments to protect them and to prevent targeted killings.
Okay. They really are kind of like trying to... They're like subservient to the U.S. in a way. Nice. Barbados surpasses 25,000 COVID-19 vaccinations. It's less than a minute long. I can just read the headline at that point. That's good. Wait, what? Alright, y'all. This is some Destiny news time, okay? Destiny 2. Wob. What is this? What is this? Up the background tune a bit, and I can read this. Okay. Road to the Witch. We aren't going to provide a TLDR as we want you to go read this thing, but I would like to provide a quick news about the Witch Queen's Witch Queen's release date, Lightfall and Beyond, power and how it raises season over season, no additional infusion caps. PvP, our goals for the future of Crucible, stasis balancing, game security, and Trials of Osiris, information about Vaulted Glass, the new transmog system we're calling Armor Synthesis, and more. What? What? Okay. Master difficulty can prove challenging, but with the right fire team, you can absolutely find success as you venture through this derelict ship. Be sure to watch out for scannable objects. They may prove valuable to you on your journey to uncover more knowledge. The 12 this week will be looking at a few feedback items concerning ritual playlists, an update on DDoS protection for consoles, and an announcement of our upcoming Deepstone Crypt developer deep dive. For deep dives on raids, dungeons, secret missions, and more. This time we're heading back to the Deepstone Crypt as our brave fire team ventures through the frozen wastes of Europa and polished halls of Braytech's research labs. Developers will be providing commentary on how the secret sauce was made. Okay, ritual playlist weapons. We've been sinking a lot of time into Gambit, searching for a bottom dollar hand What? Beautiful lives in the 120 RPM archetype and can be found when completing Gambit matches. Today we've invited weapons feature lead to walk us through ritual weapons. At the release of Beyond Light, we introduced new weapons into the reward pools of Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard strikes. To give a quick rundown for the new lights out there, each of these weapons has a low drop rate and deep perk pools, intended to give players dedicated to a particular playlist a weapon to hunt. Our goal when introducing these weapons was to provide space for longer-term ritual-specific goals for players as they chase after the perfect roll on a given weapon, and explore the possibility space of perk rolls on a weapon archetype in the same way weapon designers do. Vanguard shotgun, okay, Gambit grenade launcher, which is meh. And the Crucible pulse is also as we saw some positive reception to these weapons in Beyond Light, with players digging through the perks and comparing rolls. We've added 2 more to each ritual in the season chosen, bringing the total per ritual to 3. Okay, I got that. I don't have that. Gambit hand cannon and fusion rifle. I need to go get that. We announced that distributed denial of service protection would be coming to consoles, doing through the bringing protections for your network connection against DDoS and IP harvesting attacks using via usage of the Steam Datagram Relay service. As our seasonal content went online, we uncovered a few general bugs and crashes which needed to be addressed before we could start bringing this feature forward. Okay. As these issues have now been mitigated, our teams have started to bring console SDR services online. This will be a multi-week initiative as we want to ensure service stability across all platforms while weeding out any bugs or increases in error codes. Okay. That is acceptable. If any major issues are found during this process, it may take more time for us to bring this fully online, but we'll be sure to announce when our work is done. That's good. Battleground Throwdown. Research completions. Okay. Mislabeled exotic ornaments. Huh. Known issues, atmospheres. Okay, so maybe this isn't the... Yeah, this has to be it. But... now where's that one? Barrier Colossus and Battleground Behemoths will no longer mosey out of their barrier shields to say hello to unsuspecting guardians. The chosen destruction umbral focusing lens will now allow players to focus on the umbral. Okay. Beneficial modifiers in the Battleground playlist now work as intended. Known issues. The trash of the Thresher Triumph is not properly recording destroyed Threshers in the Arms Dealer Nightfall ordeal. This game will not augments in the Deep Stone Crypt. We're not the same color and Phrydenopia colorblind mode. That okay. That's probably good. Trying to equip the Mind Vault ornament for insurmountable Skullfort may result in a requires mod item error. Okay. These are movies. Yeah, and this was sick. I'm not gonna lie. Look at this art. Aww. But I do not see you guys forgot to put in. Come on, y'all. Okay, well, yeah, I've run across that. It was annoying. Resort of the spider tank encounter of the hollow lair strike may not open for players. Yep. Yeah. Okay, good, because I'm on this quest step. Because I'm lazy and don't do anything. Except PvP. Players may earn the I am invincible medal when opposing team actually completed the requirements. Fuck yeah. I can earn it now. I gotta go do it now, though. Wait. Okay. Players who complete the Xenology quest from Zero while already having an exotic cipher in their inventory will have the quest removed with no reward. Yep. Had that happen. There are no champions in the Master Pre-Sage mission because Scorn champions don't exist. Players who kill the boss and yeah, I read that already. So I don't see. Do you all see anything about it besides up here? but that's all they don't cover this at all. Or this. Okay. So, probably this one. Who wrote this? Joe Blackburn. Yep. Hooked on running the vaulted glass, trying to get my truth dropping or nightfall, and yes, sometimes trolling my fire team with an inopportune Ward of Dawn placements. Of course, that's just what you do if you're a Titan. Okay. Last summer, we outlined our ambition for the next era in Destiny 2 by announcing the full arc, starting with Beyond Light, followed by the Witch Queen and Lightfall. As we began to scale production on the Witch Queen last year, we made the difficult but important decision to move its release to early 2022. We also realized we needed to add an additional unannounced chapter after Lightfall to fully complete our first saga of Destiny. Huh. We've thought about moving Destiny's annual release to the early half of the year, primarily for the health of the team. But the Witch Queen, and not being tied to legacy expectations, allowed us to make this choice early for 3 important reasons. Okay, we'll see your reasonings before I get upset. The Witch Queen represents an important evolution in the ongoing story of Destiny 2. Beyond Light built the foundation and allowed us to weave the world building of Destiny and Destiny 2 together, but the Witch Queen will light the fire on a strongly interconnected narrative across Lightfall and beyond, unlike anything we've ever attempted before, with characters, arcs, heroes, and villains that persist over multiple future releases. Yeah? I'm so happy. Even more importantly, the conclusion of these releases will also conclude the Light and Darkness saga, the conflict we first introduced with the launch of Destiny many years ago. As we've been developing the Witch Queen, we realized that we needed this release to be the first of many moments crucial to the story of Destiny. With so much leading to and dependent on what happens in the Witch Queen, we wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves enough time to build out this journey in the right way, starting with an exceptional first chapter in the Witch Queen. With Destiny now committed to being an everlasting evolving world, we want to make sure we are still taking the time to upgrade the systemic foundation of Destiny 2. Turn on my light. Come here. I'm reading the one on the TWAB. They're taking away sunsetting. No more infusion caps. I'm so excited about this. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm gonna have to read this again because of the cousin. The Witch Queen. What? They explain it here. Later. Like, this is just the first bit, and then you come down here and rewards that matter and power play. You know. This is something they did before they released the TWAB, because there's so much that they're doing that they had to release 2 articles. So this says, last summer we outlined our ambition for the next era of Destiny 2 by announcing the full arc, starting with Beyond Light, followed by the Witch Queen and Lightfall. As we began to scale production on the Witch Queen last year, we made the difficult but important decision to move its release to early 2022. We also realized we needed to add an additional unannounced chapter after Lightfall to fully complete our first saga of Destiny. We've thought We've long thought about moving Destiny's annual release to the early half of the year, primarily for the health of the team, but the Witch Queen and not being tied to legacy expectations allowed us to make this choice early for 3 important reasons. The Witch Queen represents an important evolution in the ongoing story of Destiny 2. Beyond Light built the foundation and allowed us to weave the world building of Destiny and Destiny 2 together, but the Witch Queen will light the fire on a strongly interconnected narrative across Lightfall and beyond, unlike anything we've ever attempted before, with characters, arcs, heroes, and villains that persist over multiple future releases. Even more importantly, the conclusion of these releases will also conclude the Light and Darkness saga, the conflict we first introduced with the launch of Destiny many years ago. As we've been developing the Witch Queen, we realized that we needed this release to be the first of many moments crucial to the story of Destiny. With so much leading to and dependent on what happens in the Witch Queen, we wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves enough time to build out this journey in the right way, starting with an exceptional first chapter in the Witch Queen. With Destiny now committed to being an everlasting, evolving world, we want to make sure we are still taking the time to upgrade the systemic foundation of Destiny 2 to support everything we want to do in the future. Our ultimate vision for Destiny 2 still stands: a definitive action MMO, a unified global community where you can play Destiny anywhere with your friends. For 2021, this means upgrading our approach to keeping Destiny's weapons and armor game fresh, refining our vision for PvP, implementing transmog, and adding crossplay. Finally, and the most important reason, we are proud to be uncompromising when it comes to our commitment to the health of our teams. With COVID keeping us away from the office and the large amount of work on our plates, we need to move the date in order to make sure that both this year's updates and the Witch Queen were both delivered at the quality we strive for, and on a schedule that made sense for everyone involved. So that's the reasons for moving Witch Queen, but it's going to conclude the first saga. And then rewards that matter. With Season 11, we introduced infusion caps, an iteration on infusion designed to keep Destiny's gear game fresh from release to release and to create a healthy ecosystem for our aspirational content. While we still believe in these goals, it's clear our execution was off the mark. Yeah. Infusion caps helped us meaningfully shift the meta and Beyond Light and create a rewards ecosystem that was manageable to balance and monitor, but the system also has made our rewards feel like they have an expiration date and have frequently made playing our legacy content feel shallow. We want the rewards you've earned in Beyond Light and its subsequent seasons to feel like valuable tools you can use in the incredible challenges you'll face in the Witch Queen, so we're making a change. We made a decision that any weapon or armor... Put it on the table and could you bring them to me? Now we've talked about rewards, let's talk about power. Last year we started a paradigm where we raised the overall power cap by 50 each season. While this helped ensure that infusion caps shifted the meta, it also made each season feel like a significant reset to the power you had accumulated. To combat this, we will be experimenting with a new power level cap. Starting in Season 14, we will only be raising the power cap by 10 for each non-expansion season. This means if you reach the maximum power in Season 13, when next season rolls around, you'll be directly in the 10-point pinnacle band of your power pursuit. This power increase should feel familiar to anyone who played Season of Dawn last year, and we're excited to see how this progression feels alongside our new systems. I've seen a lot of people complaining about how there's no point in grinding up power, because as soon as you get to the point where you can do this stuff, you have like a week and a half of having max power, and then it resets. And you have to do it again, and there's no difference, you just arbitrarily lose strength. So Bungie's like, let's address this. Angels of Death. Like many of you, I am passionate about PvP in Destiny 2, and it's clear that we haven't had consistent messages around these modes, so I'd like to share our high-level vision for the Crucible. Direct player versus player competition is essential in Destiny as an option to express mastery of your Guardian and showcase the strength of your arsenal against other players. It's a simple vision, but it's one that's crucial to making the game feel like a real place for those players that crave that showcase, where the rewards you've earned, the skill you demonstrate, and how you've built your Guardian all matter. So let's talk about what we're doing this year for PvP, starting with our 2 priorities: improving gameplay sandbox balance in the Crucible, and upgrading the experiences of our most aspirational game modes. When it comes to balance updates, these can be divided into 3 major buckets. First, in Season 15, we will be addressing 3 peaking and trials and competitive. In these modes, emotes will be disabled and players will be unable to pull out any third-person weapon that doesn't have ammo. Third-person experiences are part of what make Destiny's gameplay feel so good, but it was clear in our most competitive arenas that these mechanics were being used in ways we did not intend. This is a tricky problem to solve in Destiny's complicated sandbox, but we think this is a good starting point. Trials and competitive, that's fine. They leave it in regular shit, that's fine. Second, over the next several seasons, we will be making changes to stasis and light subclasses in order to achieve a healthier balance of subclasses in the Crucible. Across Season 13 and 14, we will be adjusting stasis in the Crucible in order to bring its overall effectiveness in line with our light subclasses. Here are some of the changes you can expect in the updates coming. Okay, Behemoth Titan, decreased super damage reduction, increased super energy cost when performing light attacks, remove freeze AoE on supercast, reduce traveling efficacy of Shiver Strike when slowed. Revenant Hunter, decreased withering blade damage and tracking. Aww. Decreased slowest stacks applied to targets. Okay. Remove Shatter Dive damage reduction. Oh. Fixed bug where Ice Flare bolts wouldn't track towards targets immediately on creation. Huh. Fixed bug where Shadebinder super projectiles were not tracking until a certain distance traveled. So, a buff. Decreased crystal shatter damage in general. Okay. For Season 15, we were also looking at universal adjustments to stasis by increasing damage reduction when frozen to provide more survivability for the victim. That's probably good. Following the stasis tuning in Season 15, we will also focus on light subclasses and release a set of targeted buffs to our most underutilized specializations. Okay. The goal of these changes is to keep stasis feeling great in PvE and to bring its representation in PvP more in line with our light-based abilities. Finally, we want to continue to adjust weapon archetype performance and... Okay, that's good. Yeah, the weapons have felt pretty good all over the place past bit. Matters when underlying playing field is fair. Unfortunately, cheating continues to be a significant issue, especially on PC. You're fucking right. We're always working to maintain security as new exploits emerge, and as always, we don't want to talk about a lot of those improvements for fear of empowering the bad guys. A few areas we can talk about are, we're aiming to nearly double the size of the Bungie game security team this year, reflecting our long-term commitment to fair play. Good. We've begun regular surveys to better understand your experiences with cheating and to measure our progress. This new data enriches our existing streams from player reports, thank you for reporting, and game instrumentation. If you receive one of these surveys, please share your experiences to help us fight cheating. We've begun a strategy of aggressive legal action against cheat developers. You may have seen news articles about some of our early actions here, and we will continue to pursue those who undermine fair play using every tool at our disposal, both in partnerships with other studios and under our own flag. Oh, good. Rebuild the Trials reward structure so that it encourages more players to stick to their active cards longer. Our current structure encourages a lot of recycling cards after a single loss, meaning the first game your Trials card has a high chance of being incredibly challenging. We want to build a reward structure that continually pushes higher skill players to want to progress deeper into their card even after a loss, making 3 to 5 wins a more achievable goal for more players. Good. Investigate opportunities for solo players to participate in Trials We believe this will not only make the matchmaking pools healthier, but will also encourage more players to see what Trials is all about and hopefully form social connections with other PvP-loving Guardians. Fall to Glass, Praetor's Revenge, dope. Getting reacquainted with Adelaide. Ada 1 is returned. Really? Asylum. This one. This is all you. In Season 14, 801 is returning to the tower, and with her comes the ability for players to take any armor they have in their collections and turn it into a universal ornament. Yeah. No, they have specific ornaments. And now you can just go, oh, I like this armor loadout, but I need, I like the way it looks, but I want it to be on my good armor, because this stuff is not well rolled, whatever, but it looks cool, and I've never gotten another one, so let's ornament. Dope. Players will also, players can complete quests to receive the materials they need to power up Ada's loom. They can turn any piece of armor into universal ornament. Players short on time will also be able to purchase synthesis tokens. Yeah. Okay. That is sick. Wait, what? Crossplay is coming. Some of you noticed that Ikora Rey has not been nearly as present recently in Destiny 2. We've missed her as well. Not only will you see Ikora again in Season 14, she'll be playing a pivotal role in the Witch Queen. Beyond that, we introduced Stasis subclass like Solar, Arc, and Void. Stasis will continue to evolve into a fully supported damage type. In Season 15, we will introduce our first round of legendary Stasis energy and power weapons. Yay! More recently, in Season 13, we rolled out Phase 1 of our new gilded title system, where players can gild our ritual titles like Conquer, Unbroken, Dredgen, and Flawless each season. Season 14, Phase 2 of gilding titles will roll out. When players gild a title, it will now also display how many times that title has been gilded in the past. I've never gilded a title. I only have my Dredgen title. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care about gilding it. Doesn't matter. This is exciting, though. I'm not gonna lie. I am a Destiny fanboy. I played the fuck out of this game. Now, let me point out. I've played all of Destiny 1. I didn't play beta. I got to play before the first expansion came out. And on Steam, I have like 2,500 hours in this game on Steam, and I've gone through 5 PlayStation 4s playing the game. 5. So I can't even tell you how many hours I have on Destiny 2, or on Destiny 1. I can't, because it's a lot. But Destiny 2, I can tell you how many hours I have on Steam. I have like several thousand. I actually don't know how many I have on Destiny on Steam. It's quite a bit though, I'll tell you. That is a game I definitely need to be jumping on. Yeah, I have 543.3 hours on Steam. Just on Steam. And I've got, I've probably got about, maybe 7,000. I probably have around 7,000 total hours in Destiny's franchise. I have played it almost as long as I played World of Warcraft. Now I have not gone on a straight 3-day binge in Destiny like I did in World of Warcraft. That game? Oh my, don't. Just don't. Don't do it to yourself. Players like, what is this? Oh yeah, Tree Savior. Recent games, I actually had to remove some to be able to fit this. I need to play this, and I will after I finish streaming. Is there anyone who wants to? Is there anyone chatting in here? No? Okay. Well. What was I going on about? Destiny, right. Yeah, I was covering Destiny news. Yeah. I have a lot of time sunk into the game. And if I could play Destiny 1 on PC, I would definitely play Destiny 1 on PC. Now the real question. Haven't really been dropping frames. Let's go ahead and mute. Oh wait, that's media share. Where's my back? There it is. Mute the background tunes. Oop. We can just close this because we're gonna see how much processing power this thing takes. We're just gonna see. Hopefully it starts, because it should have already downloaded. Yes. Aww. Okay. That was quick. I can handle that. That's not a problem. Gonna roll myself up a big old joint. Hell yeah. Fuck.
What is today? You're fucking down. I came in here because I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like 1:30. Oh shit. So I come in here. All this shit open still, right? So I just go, okay, fine, whatever. I just go over here to the thing, click open Steam, you know what I'm saying? And, it was already in your thing, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. View library.
Does it running?
I have a lot of shit open.
I do.
But it was funny because like you had a lot of shit open, you still do, like the same amount of shit, and like
Yeah, I could actually hear. Let's 10. I can just close that because it doesn't even matter.
there it goes.
I think I'm maxing out the PC.
Has crashed on me twice. It crashed on me once whenever first loaded in. It was just like,
Yeah, I mean it's a demo. Square Enix games don't take a whole lot of actual like processing power, which is great. Although this one might. Oh, and it's on the Unreal Engine? Okay.
Almost say they want to have a controller.
No. I mean, A.
It's not
You
first person.
have my controller.
I do, but I mean, I could give it back.
No. No. I'm not. No. If you use controller, I just don't. I don't even play Soul Calibur with a controller. No, that's a lie. I did. It's still on my computer. I kept it on
played
there.
Mortal Kombat
I removed.
or keyboard. I should. Mouse is not involved in any way, shape, or form.
But
So that was cool.
I kept Soul Calibur. I did remove Far Cry to make room for this.
I think whatever. I don't play Far Cry with you. It's okay.
But
Not
Far
my
Cry with
forte,
Jason.
buddy. Yeah. Jason, like me and him don't even play anymore. Well, I told him about this. I told you too. So I was like, hey.
Oh, and I'm
like,
definitely.
built for the three of us.
Yeah, I'm 100% into something like this.
Dude, can I break you away from this? I mean, I know you got.
Well, you can on my lap, and I've got my stream still going. No, but I do speak to him. All right, give me a second. I gotta go check this out, y'all. I gotta. Fucked up. I'm stuck anyways, you know. Stuck in loading. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I think. Oh, come on. What is it? What is it doing? What is it doing? I don't understand this. I don't. Goddamn computers. I don't know. What's it doing? Who's that? Yeah. Hey, there we go. Very loud, I'm sorry.
We shall see victory! A great new altar fights at our side! I feel a storm cloud coming down today.
The anomaly should have killed us.
Okay. It's still gonna be loud. It's gonna crash. Oh, there's the options button. It's gonna crash. I know this. Kick to the screen. Kick to the title. Just like my idol. Yep. Send and restart. Oh, my viewer's gone. Oh. Oh well. I should probably end this stream anyways. Oh, that'll roll out. I hope y'all enjoyed. Yeah, I'm about to. Alright, yeah. Take it easy. Like, subscribe, fuck, chat. Oh, God.